I'm here with Richie Bell, the Ghost Comic, and we had scheduled to do our interview for the Paranormal Road Trippers interview series at Stanley Park, but then it decided to snow in the Lower Mainland, which is very rare.
Yeah.
And then it became cold, which is uncomfortable.
We're not doing the interview out here.
Well, if you don't want to.
Well, I mean, let's just go. Let's go. We're gonna end up like that guy. Let's just go inside for a second.
Let's go inside.
Good
We're
Lord.
doing inside today. Who is the Ghost Comic and where does he come from?
My name is Richie Bell. I'm from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia.
How long have you been interested in the paranormal for?
I've been interested since I was a young lad. I used to have an imaginary friend named Old Man that my mom thought was a ghost because I would learn things after playing with him. I also had we lived in an older house in Cape Rel, Ontario, and I'd have this. I didn't realize it at the time, but I had this shadow figure go around my room. It was a young boy. I thought it was my brother for the longest time, and I was getting kind of fed up that he was coming to my room. So I'd go over and be like, "Hey man, stay out of my room." And my brother was already in his bed, and the figure was still in my room. So yeah, what am I, 30 now? So yeah, that's about. Oh God, I want 22 years, I guess. That's the math. So yeah. God, that's a lot of time.
What made you want to start doing paranormal investigations?
Just watching, I used to have, we'd call it Freaky Friday nights. Me and my mom, every Friday we'd watch Most Haunted and all those shows. I think it was on the Women's Network. And they had the back-to-back, Crimes of Passion to start, and then you get into the investigative shows with Derek Acora and that kind of thing. And my mom has always been kind of really interested in ghosts, and it kind of rubbed off on me. So I've always wanted to do it, but it's a very tricky group to penetrate because you guys take it obviously very seriously, and you don't, the comedian kind of coming into it being like, "Hey, I want to come on your investigation," doesn't strike the most confidence in you. So it's been a very long time that I've wanted to. I'm very fortunate that I've actually gotten to start with my own kind of particular flavor.
What is your first experience as a researcher?
This is one, unfortunately, we didn't get on camera. We were at, I can't even say where it was. We were in Kamloops, and we were on a film shoot, and we kind of snuck away because we knew it was the most haunted location in Canada. And me and this guy, Alex Judd, and Brent McCorkle, the producer of Ghost Comic, went to this house. It was a tuberculosis doctor. It's a sanatorium or whatever they call it. And we were walking around, we're hearing some bumps and stuff that you can kind of, say, okay, that's probably a raccoon or a rattlesnake or something like that, which it's weird when a rattlesnake becomes the comforting aspect. But we went upstairs. Brent wouldn't go in the basement. He ran out. It was just me and Judd. We went upstairs, and no one had been in this building, and there was only one door in the whole place that was closed. And as soon as Juddy, we call him Cowboy, as soon as he mentioned, he was like, "Hey man, come in here. There's only one room. There's only one door rather in this whole place that's closed, and it's right there." And then we heard the latch open, it was one of them old kind of doors, so it's a hard turn, and then it opened. And obviously, we were hit with panic, and I was like, "All right, please close that door, we'll leave." And the second we said that, it closed. It opened probably about, 12 inches, and it closed, and then it latched shut. And I've never run so hard in my life as I did that night.
Talk about your style. Why a comedy routine when you're doing your investigations?
Well, I just, watching paranormal investigative shows, you're obviously, you're trying to prove that ghosts exist. I'm trying to operate under I already know that they exist, and I feel it's more of an empathic approach. We're not, we're not doing jokes at them. We're not making fun of the ghosts or anything, but I like to think, they're people. Usually the only people that actually try to communicate with them are either mediums or investigators who, obviously you guys have to, try to press for information, and, it's very kind of investigatory, whereas I just want to kind of lighten the mood for the ghosts so they have someone to kind of talk to, doing jokes for them. It's same way you do for people. It's my idea is, they haven't been entertained for a while. Might as well, give them a night. You never know when the next person will come through. I hope more people take it up. Yeah, that's what I do. Just see if we can, do ghosts laugh? Do they still kind of have that human characteristic of can they still find something funny?
Run me through a style from the beginning of your investigation to the end.
The style, I would say, is just managing terror. So we started off pretty confident, getting into, the jokes and stuff like that. And really just, I like to treat it like I would an actual show. So we come in, very respectful, almost like hosting duties, getting the ghosts ready for, the spirits ready for, kind of what we're going to do. Because they're probably, if they are there, they're probably like, why is this guy wearing a Ghostbusters suit? But we try to get them kind of prepared for what we're going to do, and to see if we can honestly, if the main goal is to get like a ghost laugh. So we try to like kind of amp it up. We try different styles of humor. We've tried to no avail to get a laugh as of yet, but I mean that didn't stop me from doing comedy for people, so it's not going to stop me from doing comedy for ghosts. It's very it's very dry. We try to keep jokes, try to keep them informed with in a comedic way of what they may have missed since they passed away, but also trying to do jokes that that are kind of timeless, that are still themes that would have been around when they were alive. Just to see if even if we can't auditorily catch something, at least in whatever realm or frequency that they're at, the idea that they may be enjoying it is is more than enough for me.
The first time I met you, we were overlapping an investigation at the Pink Palace.
Yeah.
And our team just rolls up in your typical ghost hunter #1 outfit of black hoodies and jeans.
It was very intimidating.
What was going through your mind with that? I find that humorous, because we've talked about that story a few times now. Just what was going through your mind?
So we didn't know. So what we had thought was going to happen is that like we had gotten an agreement with the Pink Palace to do our investigation. They'd given us a private tour. We didn't even know you guys were coming in, and then you guys came in like the Terminator of ghost hunters, like with your puff vests, your jeans, and all your briefcases full of stuff. And there's me dressed as a Ghostbuster, and Garson was dressed as a lion. And, we just looked like a big bunch of idiots. And I was like, oh, these guys hate us. Guaranteed, these guys absolutely hate our guts. And so the whole time, like, you guys were eating pizza, and we're just like huddled in the cold grotto, being like, all right, let's just stay out of their hair as much as we can, because you guys are just like this intimidating force that came in. Like, we had to move all of our stuff just because we were like, oh god, we don't want to give them any other reason to dislike us. Like, okay, move your gear, everyone's backpacks, we'll tuck them under the desk, give them the room, let them eat their pizza. Whatever you guys were, we made sure that we were so far away, because the last thing we wanted to do is like interfere with the investigation, because like you guys, like, oh man, if you guys wanted to scrap, we were done. So we're like, they're in the east part, we're going to go all the way into the west part of it. Like, we're just going to absolutely hide from each other. We saw your tour coming, we would just stay quiet and hide in the hallways in our stupid outfits. It was a very intimidating. I would say until we actually like went outside when I was having a smoke, I would say it was very much so like we felt in the wrong. Well, at least I felt in the wrong. It was kind of just like, oh man, they definitely don't think we're taking this seriously.
Funny story. I remember that.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I'm glad we had a chance to kind of talk, because it looks like, you know what I mean? Like, it looks like we're just there to kind of take the piss out of a bunch of ghosts. And I was glad to be able to kind of explain myself to someone who's so ingrained in the industry. Being like, no, we're not here to make fun of them. We're doing like jokes for them. And I remember your eyes, you were just like, wait, what? And I was just like, yeah, we're doing it for them. And he's like, you're doing jokes for ghosts? And I was like, yeah. And he was just like, oh, it's a great idea. And I was like, thank you. And it was, at that moment, it was just like the tension gone. I mean, poor Carson was like sweating bullets in a lion suit. And the only bathroom we had was that porta potty outside. And it was like, it was the middle of the night, so it was freezing cold. And he was just in there just like shuffling around. And he comes out, and we'd made peace. And Carson comes out in his lion suit, all sweaty, stinking of a urinal, being like, oh, hey, how's it going? And I was like, oh, good. Okay, we're ingrained now.
Truth, good story. In my opinion, the ghost comedy routine may get a lot of flack.
Yeah.
You know it. You own it.
Yeah.
So that's where this next question comes from. The paranormal field tends to be incredibly cliquey and somewhat serious. We got a lot of armchair investigators thinking they write the books on how to investigate and what to do. With bringing comedy and the paranormal together, how has it been received? And what do you say to your fans and your critics?
So I think people watching it for the first time, because you're right, it's like, it's a very cliquey society, and like kind of as I step into it, like it's so hard. There's so many exclusivity contracts that just, to me, don't make any sense. And I know that's going to take flack, probably more than, arguably the jokes aren't that good all the time. I'll take flack for the bad jokes. Like I'm not saying every joke's a killer, but the fact that you have exclusivity contracts where it's like, you know, you want to go into a spot, like if you're a paranormal investigator and you believe ghosts are real, why would you just hoard that to? What if they don't like you? What if now the only people they can talk to are people they don't like? And for me, that's heartbreaking, because if I become a ghost one day and I'm in a house and you guys get an exclusivity contract and I don't like you, now I have to deal with you for the rest of your life, and then you become a ghost and someone gets an exclusivity contract. And it's just this never ending, like, just share it. Like, they're not going anywhere. I haven't taken, I mean, this will probably get me my most flack. Most people don't even know that we're a thing yet, because we are still quite fresh. I think you're the only one who's engaged us in a positive way. The rest we haven't even been able to engage with, because the second we contact a place, it's all, we have an exclusivity contract with so-and-so. And it's just, it's kind of madness, because like comedy is quite cliquey as well. It's more cliquey in terms of themes of shows and stuff like that. Not so much in where you can go, but in terms of like certain shows want certain types of material. The fact that there's, you know, there's not a lot of places that would benefit from just having one team over and over and over again. I think having a mix is how you're going to get different reactions, because at the end of the day, the goal is to prove that there are spirits. And I think different approaches are going to bring out different things. And if you come into the same place with the same team, it's just like if you're a regular at a bar, your whole experience, like you go in at 7 and your night's going to be the exact same until you leave every single time. So when you go into an investigation at 7, if it's your 15th time there, I can't imagine that the ghosts are going to be like, all right, let's spice it up on this one. And I think having the comedy twist is a pretty good one, just because, you know, it's another avenue to see if you can get a reaction. It's a more positive, it's a more empathic way of getting a reaction than just necessarily just asking questions about how they died and trying to get them to, you know, move cupboards and stuff like that. But I'm sure me saying this will give me some flack, which if you want to flack it up, let's flack it up. But I think we should all just start working together.
I agree with you on the contract crap. I think it's absolute bull crap, and I think para-unity, and here's a good example of para-unity. We're doing an interview together, talk together.
Exactly, and we're going to do a video together, maybe 2, maybe 3, who knows? If there's a benefit to bringing someone else on, it's like anything. Like it's such a niche. Like there's not millions of paranormal investigators out there. It's such a niche that if you work together, because if you look at the big guys in the industry, you know, your ghost adventures and your ghost hunters and your like they're all collaborative. You can't do it without. There's no shining knight in the ghost hunting community that's just going to trudge on their own. It doesn't make any sense. And I can't wait to finally meet these people once the exclusivity contract gets pressured so much. I'm sure I'll get a phone call being like, hey, what are you doing? And it's, you know, it's, instead of doing that, instead of calling out, let's just call in. It's like, hey, if you have an exclusivity contract, fine. Why don't we add some comedy to it? You know, switch it up a little bit. Let's see. My main goal is to see if I can get a ghost to laugh, but also if I can do a joke and a medium isn't around, and then the medium comes back, and we can find out if the ghost actually liked it. Or if they hate it. Either way, it's a win-win for me. But if they're actually like able to acknowledge a joke, that's a very human thing. And I think that's my approach, is they're not other entity. They were a person, and you have to treat them like a person. Which I think you do very well.
What would you say to someone who says what you're doing is bullshit and I don't think you should be doing it because it's disrespectful? Like, triggered people.
I mean, I don't like classifying people as true. I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion. If I was going in, you know, calling the ghosts names and, you know what I mean, like just absolutely just being a rabble-rouser, and we try to do it very respectfully, and I think we do a good job. I think if we were going in making jokes like punching down, which is a term in comedy, it's, you know, making fun of for Like, what am I going to do? Just make fun of the fact they don't have a body? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. If someone told me I was being disrespectful, I would ask them how. And if it's an honest concern, it's something, you know, I'm new to this world. If there is something I'm doing that is disrespectful, you know, let me know. But I think, honestly, I think the ghosts will ultimately, or the spirits will ultimately be the judge of that, because I can't imagine if I was a spirit with nothing but time in my hands hanging out in one location and some twerp came and did comedy that, you know, did it in a way that I found disrespectful, I would let him know right then and there, as opposed to waiting for the internet comments to come through and being like, hey, because how are you gonna get offended on behalf of, like, ghosts? Like, a lot of them came from a time where, like, offense wasn't even a thing. Like, that's such a new, like, cancel culture and all this offended triggeredness is such a new thing. Like, they're not even aware. I think they would find it funny that people were getting offended by it. So I think it's a safe zone, because it's like dealing with, like, your grandparents' grandparents. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to find, like, a off-color joke that offensive, where today you'll get, like, strung up for it. I think it's a safer audience. Not saying that I'm an offensive comedian, but I think I'm sure I'd get a couple cold breezes if something I was doing was out of line.
What is your end goal in the paranormal field?
My end goal is to hopefully grow this into a way that's kind of an accepted medium for investigations, because it's such a fun thing to do. And with ghosts, like the idea that they can, you know, there's a chance every time there's an investigation coming through that there could be someone there whose pure idea is to entertain them, which they haven't had for, you know, depending on how long they've been a spirit and how long they've been trapped there. You know, it could be like 100 years or something like that they've heard a joke. And the idea that we could, you know, kind of bring that to the mainstream, just have that as an accepted way of, you know, gathering evidence, and it's lighthearted, it's empathetic, it's a very human thing. I think that's my end goal, is to make this a more common. I'd love to have a legion of ghost comics. That's the end goal, is to have a legion of people who just want to, you know, tag along, get all the science and stuff that you guys' gadgets that scare the crap out of me, get all that in there to see if ghosts can respond to something as human as a joke or laughter. Just the concept of a ghost getting a joke and responding to it, I think, is very strong evidence of their human nature, which is something that I think is often forgotten about with spirits, is that they are just, you know, they're just invisible people.
You've done, what, 4 episodes of Ghost Comic?
We've done 5. I think we're at 5 now, yeah.
Have you guys had any paranormal activity on your investigations?
On our investigations, the first one we had, we got pretty much told to leave, which I think you could find pretty respectful. That the second we said, hey, make a noise if you want us to leave, they made a noise, we left. A lot of it, we just haven't had the tools to really catch anything. We are still quite new. It's at this point, in terms of its production, it's still kind of in its infancy. We're slowly building up our, you know, just kind of like our gear and stuff like that, so we can actually quantitatively show that something has changed. On our investigations, our setups for the Pink Palace, every time we'd set up, we had this cold mass following us that we document. It's one of those things, you know, you can't really show that when you don't have the tools to do it. But we had this cold mass every doorway. Every time we moved, you'd feel it move in. It was just following us around. But we just haven't had the tools to be able to actually document it. So that's our next goal, is to actually start building the kit like you guys have, and, you know, obviously doing collaborations with you guys, so you can show us how to use it, what to use it for, what tools we need. That weird teddy bear thing that you have, your haunted sewing box, everything, we just fill it in there. I'll get some punchlines going, and we'll see if there's a reaction to be had, and if there's not, then I'll just keep doing it until there is one.
Is there anything you want to say to our viewers?
Yeah, if you're in the investigative field or not, like, just remember, like, there's scary people out there. Don't be necessarily scared of ghosts. It is spooky, you know, when you don't have that control, but there's scary people out there that you can see. You know, anytime you go into a place that you suspect, you know, might be haunted, just be very respectful. Just don't do any don't do anything stupid. Don't try to rile them up. I know you rile them up quite a bit, but I mean, you've done this before. You know where the edge is. Like, there's some things you don't understand.
Respectfully, right?
Yeah, don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. And I appreciate when you guys Facebook message me about how exclusivity contracts are the only way to stay in the game. They're not. Stop them. Stop the exclusivity contracts. It's so stupid. Like, it is stupid.
Oh, it frustrates me too. That could be a whole episode, a whole interview just on that.
Yeah, like, I don't know what kind of legal, because like I work in film, we do contracts all the time. There are always ways to get out of it. I don't know what kind of Microsoft Word document legal team these guys have, but it's like ironclad. Like, they won't even, like, cities won't even talk to you. They're like, oh, it's an exclusivity contract. And I guess maybe on their end they just don't want to admit a place is haunted because there's that whole stigma still. But it's like, good Lord, like, open it up a little bit. Let's all get in there. Let's have this huge investigation. Imagine what if you had like 9 teams in one spot, everyone working. Just, all right, guys, an Easter egg hunt. Let's get after it. Like, that'd be pretty cool as opposed to the same team going in every time. But yeah, I guess, yeah, don't be a dick. That's it. That's all I got.
I like it. Now, where can people reach you?
So I'm on.
Where can your hate mail go?
Oh, my hate mail. Yeah. Oh man. So I'm at Richie Bang Bang on Instagram. You can always go to Vibrant Studios on YouTube. That's where our videos are. We got the Facebook group, Ghost Comic. Don't go on my personal Facebook because honestly, I don't really go on there that often. So if you want to send hate mail, you're just gonna get so mad at the fact that it's gonna take me weeks to respond to you. Go on the Instagram, Richie Bang Bang. Yeah, come after me. I dare you.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.